All right, so hey, welcome everyone. I have a very special guest joining us here today. One of the members in the Fit Body program, Emily Cummings, who cut 30 pounds of fat while building muscle and creating a lifestyle change. So, I want to thank you for joining us here today. How are we doing?
Hi, I'm good. Just a little nervous. I'm gonna say that up top for everybody watching and listening. Just because I'm a nervous person when I'm in front of anyone, but that's okay. But otherwise, I'm excited to be here and talk with everybody and help you answer questions, hopefully for people too who aren't sure what this is.
That'd be great, and I appreciate
Yeah.
it. We were talking before we got on live here that with athletes when they do these like interviews, they often say like, "Hey, are you nervous before a big game?" And the athlete will, you're the athlete in this scenario, you'll say, "No, no, no, I'm excited." And what they found was that the same stimulus or stimuli for nervousness is the same one for excitement. And so it's good to hear that you're nervous because this also means you're excited because you have something really great to share with, which is your transformation. So, with that said, I'd love to get into it in this way where could you maybe share with everybody a little bit of background on who you are and how we initially connected as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So as you said, my name is Emily, and I uh, am originally from Pennsylvania area. Went to school in Vermont. Met my husband, Jerry, who is also part of the program, and actually who introduced me to you in Vermont. And then from there, spent about 5 years in Brooklyn, New York, which is where my husband's actually from and his family. And how he, in a really roundabout way, ended up connected to you. He went and you went, I believe, to the same high school, Severian. So when about a year ago now, almost exactly, Jerry and I first started talking about joining the program. We actually found you by watching a video of one of your clients that you work with that is actually a teacher at the high school that you both attended. So um, it was really cool because I remember when he showed me the video, I was really impressed with the quality. First of all, I was like, wow, okay, like this is really cool because I've actually been to that school in the neighborhood and everything. So I was like, wow, this looks great. And I remember Jerry actually knew the teacher, obviously, that you were working with. And he was like, wow, like I remember him. Like, and this is really amazing to see, this powerful transformation. Um, like I believe that this is real. Which is cool because you see things like this online and TV and whatever, you hear about it and you're always like, is that real? Like, is this even gonna help? Like, there's always like, you've tried so many things to get healthier, to be feeling better about yourself, and then it's hard when it just seems like nothing really works. So you always go into things a little skeptical. So there was a little bit of that, of course, but like it was really cool to actually get to see that video and know the connection that Jerry had with you. And that's what really got me more curious and interested in learning more, and how I got introduced to you directly.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. I'm a video
Yeah.
fan. It's funny you said that because I was actually watching it today as I was sharing it with somebody else. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, I'm really proud of that video. And
It was great. Yeah, and that was what kind of first struck me. I was like, wow, okay, this person really cares a lot. Like they are putting a lot of effort and time, because I know, how challenging it can be to put something like that together. And it was really, so I wanted to learn more. And that was like, I think everyone should watch that video. I don't know where you have that now, if it's somewhere they can see it easily, but it's definitely a really cool video. It shows, I think, a lot about what you can expect from the program. So that was a great introduction for me.
yeah, no, I totally agree. So anytime somebody is looking to inquire joining the program, I do send them my thank you page, which is on my website, and then that's where I have that video hosted on my website. It's also like on my Instagram and whatever the case is, but that's neither here nor there for now. So yeah, so Emma, with that said, I actually would like to hear from you. Where were you before the program, before joining, with regard to your health?
So I had been an athlete growing up. So I wasn't unfamiliar with fitness in that regard. But I had tried different programs as an adult. So for example, I've done Orange Theory, which I actually really enjoyed. And I think it's because it actually mimics a lot of the things that you do in your program in terms of, there's the fast hit training aspect of it, which I really enjoy. Because I don't personally feel like a very strong runner. So I like the fast hit training because it really helps me get through that um, in a very like efficient way. And then the weightlifting aspect, obviously, like I really, so there were like elements of things that I'd done in the past, so I wasn't unfamiliar personally myself. My husband, he's a different story. He could tell you he was very nervous and hadn't really done a lot with sports or gyms. But I grew up being an athlete, but I'd always kind of my weight always fluctuated. So my nutrition wasn't great. I wouldn't say I grew up with the best understanding of nutrition. I had, the general idea that everybody does. And as I got older, I tried to educate myself, but a lot of the time I found myself frustrated because you would learn something, you would try it, and then you would hear contradicting, science come out, and you just felt like you were always kind of like, fighting this like never ending cycle of like, I don't actually know what I'm supposed to be doing. So that was something that I definitely struggled with before. And so I at the time when Jerry and I decided to look more into your program, I was at the highest weight I would say that I've been at as an adult. There was only one other time in my life that I was so big, and that was actually a lot younger in my life, kind of around puberty. It was a rough time for me, like seventh, eighth, ninth, like that time frame, grades. And so but after that point in my life, I had always kind of like tried to maintain a pretty healthy weight for the most part. And I'd been relatively active, but my nutrition again was never great. So weight was definitely always still a struggle for me as I had gotten into my 20s. But during the pandemic, which I think a lot of people probably at this point now we can all kind of talk about and relate to, like it was a tough time for different reasons for different people. And the gyms being closed and kind of just there was a lot going on at that time for everybody. But I ended up, for whatever reasons, gaining a tremendous amount of weight for me in a very short period of time during the pandemic. And then once I hit that high weight, I kind of plateaued. I didn't gain more weight, but I wasn't losing the weight. And I was very uncomfortable because for me, being someone who does enjoy movement and would like to be an active person throughout most of my life, forward, it was becoming more challenging, and I was becoming more aware of that I had to do something about that. Of course there's, the vanity reasons. People want to look good, want to feel good in their own skin. But for me, it was really, I was concerned. I'm getting older. I'm going to be 35, which I know is not ancient, but I'm going to be 35 at the end of the month. And, I really still have a lot of goals for myself. And, my husband and I have talked about having children one day. If that's something we want to do, we want to be, since we know we're going to be a little bit older, we want to be healthy for those potential children. So, that's all kind of factors that played in. But I also just wanted to feel like comfortable in my own skin. I didn't want to show up and have to think about my body. I wanted to show up and be present and enjoy the moment. So there was a lot of things that really led me to that moment, but that was kind of where I was at before. I would say is feeling like I knew somewhat what I needed to do, but I didn't fully, and I wasn't confident, and I was in the mindset of like, I really need to make a change. I'm ready, but I don't know what to do. And I don't know. I've tried all these things before. I've done sports. I've done different kinds of diets. I've tried keto. I did Orange Theory. I've done other gyms. I've had a personal trainer, but not in this way at all. Actually, I don't think we've even ever talked about that. It was more like somebody I would go to their private gym, and they had a couple clients, and we would do like workouts, but it wasn't like anything like what we do here in the in the program. And it didn't really stick. So so yeah, I was, at that point where I was just like, I know I need to do something, but I don't really know what to do. And you were seeming to offer something that I hadn't really tried before. So
That's wow. I wasn't aware of that. No, with the
yeah,
program.
I realized, I'm like, I don't think we ever talked about that part of it
Yeah.
with
I'd
but
actually, I'd love to hear more about that in a second here. And maybe could you talk also about, like, you were talking about kind of where you were before the program and everything that you tried and how frustrated you were feeling. Could you talk a little bit about how you were able to kind of join the program and how things sort of began changing and maybe how quickly you saw that process begin to unfold as well?
yeah, so when I joined the program, um one of the biggest things I was really, because so one thing I was like, what how is this program like different? How is this program going to help me? And then we're doing it remotely, so like that those were all questions. But once I realized how much accountability is built into what you like provide, and how much support you really do provide, and how many resources you provide, I was like, okay, I feel like, wow, like this is a lot that you are really able to get out of this program. And that really excited me. And so I made kind of a decision pretty much that if I was going to do this, I was just going to do exactly what you told me to do. And I wasn't going to, and which I actually was excited about, because I can overthink. So to not have to really think and just trust you to guide me was kind of the biggest thing for me at that point. Was I made that decision. I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit. I'm going to do it fully. And then at least at the end of it, I can say I really gave it a try. I really tried. And I was, like I said before, I was like kind of already in that mental state of I know I need to do something. I want to do something. So I was like, all right, here we go. So when you gave the program to us, and it outlines, what to eat and what to do for your workouts and how often to work out and how, much water to drink and how many steps to do, I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna do all these things. I'm just gonna do it all. And like every day wasn't easy. Like there were days where I was like, tired, and I was like, oh, but I was like, but no, I made a promise. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep doing it. Um, and actually, it was for me, this was a big achievement. For the first, like, I think like 3 months solid that I did this program, I don't think there was like maybe like a couple meals, honestly, that I did not cook myself. I
Wow.
just kept following what you laid out. And it was interesting because I don't really enjoy cooking that much, honestly. And I'm tired after work and I just kind of don't want to. But I found a way, using the meal plan that you provided, to create really easy, quick meals that were actually good. And I started to really like them. And like I ended up kind of looking forward to the meals. So it was actually, because I never felt hungry. I was just kind of like satisfied. So um it was like nice. It was actually not bad. And then I think having obviously Jerry like being involved with that at the same time when I was getting started and doing it as well, the same, like trying to, follow what you had laid out, motivated me to just keep trying every day. Even the days that I just did not really feel like it, I still just did it. I just did it. And then it was really pretty quickly, almost like immediately, that I was like, okay, like I'm already like feeling better. I'm already seeing like, changes like pretty quickly. So within just, the first couple months, even, I would say I was like, wow, like I'm already seeing tremendous change. And I think by like 3 months, people were already like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, you're like definitely, I can see something happening. And um, that was really exciting. So yeah, I would say that was kind of how that began.
Yeah.
And how I was feeling, and kind of like what was working for me in the beginning.
Mhm. Yeah, you know what I'd like to hear more about is I often get this question is what is different about my program, especially when compared to in person and the advantages and the pros and cons thereof. You've done both, so I'd actually love to hear from you. What would you say was the biggest differentiating factor about the Fit Body program compared to anything else you've ever tried in the past, especially with this being all remote, none of it being in person?
So I think it's the community and the accountability that you provide and the resources that you provide. It's just so much more than like just telling people to work out and eat healthy. Like you provide exercises, which all personal trainers will do that. And then you're not physically there, but you provide really detailed video, and you are always available if you want to do a consultation through video to help with form, and you're very available, which is amazing. I don't think um most people are willing to provide that much support, at least in my experience with other programs and things. It's kind of like you're kind of on your own for a lot of it, which I do think is important. You do have to, have your own accountability, but the community that you've built, everyone kind of like sharing and cheering each other on, and then the accountability because of the way you set up these check-ins, but in such a manageable way. Because I think I've said this to you before, if it felt too much like a second job or like another job or whatever, I don't know if it would be sustainable, if it was too much. But you put in just enough accountability checks and just enough support and resources that it doesn't feel like too much where you're like in a class or something and you're just like studying all the time, but it's also like you have everything you need, and that to me is what makes it very unique and special, and why I think if you commit to it and you just do it, it works. you know
Yeah.
so
I appreciate that very much, Emily.
yeah.
Yeah, it means a lot to hear. And that's not the first time I've heard that. That's a common theme I've heard among the members. They said it doesn't feel like a second job. It does feel
Yeah.
manageable and like it fits within a lifestyle. You know what I also want to chat about is you've had this tremendous transformation, obviously, externally, and I want to hear from you. How has that external transformation of losing, cutting down 30 pounds, in other words, impacted, and maybe even had an internal transformation? If you can talk a bit about that as well.
Yes, so I definitely uh feel just like a better mind body connection, I guess is how you would maybe describe it. I feel so before I talked about I didn't really know what to do. My nutrition, while I understood like basic things, like I understood you have to drink water and you should eat vegetables and like, fried food probably shouldn't be a main food source, things like that. Obviously I understood that, but I didn't understand fully like macros or like what was the point of them, or honestly, I never understood how important protein was. Protein is something I've learned is so critical, and I don't know that most people are getting enough protein, honestly, or the right source of protein. So, um, that was really a huge thing for me. But really, just like that mind body connection, of understanding how the food that I eat impacts me directly individually. I mean, I think it can be slightly different for everybody, but for most people, it is kind of a certain way that your body is going to respond to macros, to the proteins, to the fats, and to the carbs. So, understanding how that impacts your body, and like for example, I've talked to you about this before, but on days when I'm going to work out and I haven't eaten properly, I can feel it and see it in my workout. So that was like a reinforcing thing that created a change in me to really pay more attention to those things. Because in the past, I would just kind of like, oh, I haven't eaten, whatever. And then like I would eat like one meal at like 10 o'clock at night, and it would be this fast food or takeout meal, whatever. And then I would just go to bed. It was, I just didn't really prioritize like taking care of myself, or like I hadn't drank water in like 2 days or something, like crazy. Like you're just like, oh yeah, when was the last time I drank water? I've been drinking a lot of coffee lately, like that's my main thing. So just like changing that mindset of like how like those things actually do matter, and like how it does make you feel, not just for working out, but like how you feel overall and how you function and how your body functions. And it's been a really big change for me to feel more connected to my body, because I think I've struggled um with that sometimes, like understanding how I'm impacting myself in so that was really big. And then just having more I think a more a sense of comfort in myself, and like I feel good about myself. I feel, not because of just losing weight, but because I feel more like in control of my health. Like I actually, like I recently went to the doctor and got all my, everything is great, and they're like, wow. And like the last time I saw them was before I started the program. My numbers weren't bad at all, but it's just wild to see how I'm getting older but healthier. So the doctors obviously are happy with that. um and then so that creates in me more a sense of like a feeling of like peace in me, because I'm like, okay, I know I'm taking care of myself, and I know that I'm doing what I need to do so that I can be there for other people or for other goals in my life, to the best of my ability. At least I know my health, like I'm taking care of that, so it creates like a peace in myself. So like the end result of that is like you show up more and not so distracted from your what's going, what I don't know if that's coming across clearly,
Yeah,
but
totally. It's just like
you're
not
just more
occupying
present.
space in your mind anymore. To your point, yeah, exactly. More
Yeah.
present.
So
Yeah.
yeah, which I think is really awesome, because it's hard. There's so many distractions, but like at least that's something I can kind of take off of the distraction list, is like I'm here, like I'm not thinking about like, oh, like the shirt, or like I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it's just it does feel good to not have to. I'm just like focused on like, okay, like I know my health is in check, so that's at least one thing I don't have to stress too much about, because I know if I keep doing what I'm doing, it's everything's going really well. So
I
so
love
I would say those were like big changes for me internally that
it.
have impacted my life.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that so much. Yeah, it's like you just free up all this mental space to focus on
Mhm.
other things in your life, and you finally get to a place where you are comfortable with who you are and what your body looks like, and you're doing everything in your power to make sure you're as healthy as possible. So with that, peace of mind comes as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. What would you say was, Emily, one of the most surprising elements of the program? Maybe something that was something you didn't expect, but it was like a nice benefit.
Um, Something I didn't expect but was a nice benefit. Um, you know, I don't think I fully expected how much it would actually benefit my relationship with my husband. Because Um, we work pretty well together in a lot of different areas, but like I said in the beginning, he hasn't he didn't grow up playing sports really. And so and the gym was always kind of intimidating to him. So like in the past, if he ever went with me, like me and him would have gone together very few times, because he gets overwhelmed, or I don't want to speak for him, but like he and I would have a hard time. I'd be like trying to help him and show him stuff, and I think I'm not an expert, so I will take responsibility. I probably wasn't showing him things in the right way, and like it was difficult. So I didn't think we could like I was nervous about that. I was like, how are we gonna, and we have different goals, obviously too. We're different people, and so I wasn't sure like how that was all going to go. And but I knew like working together would be better than one of us trying to do it without the other. So I was happy and excited to work together, because I did feel like it would be ultimately a good thing, but I just wasn't sure like how the dynamic was going to go. um and honestly, it's been great. Like we have really gotten to bond. It's like we both work a lot, and we both work slightly different schedules, so like finding time is a challenge. And weirdly, the gym is like, if we can get to the gym together, it's actually something we look forward to. So it can complicate things, because we're always trying to time our gym time together, but it's like important to us because it actually helps us with accountability. We also help each other a lot. Like, if one of us is struggling with one thing, the other one might be able to help, or, it might be helpful to have somebody from the outside kind of looking at what you're doing, right there. And so it's been really actually awesome. And I wasn't expecting that. That was something that I'm surprised that it actually was great for us and our relationship. And also, like, I can't imagine one of us doing it and not the other at this point, because it's been such a positive change for both of us, like mentally and physically, that like I'm really happy, obviously, that we did both decide to do this together. But yeah, that was honestly a surprise because I wasn't sure.
That was so good to hear. I'm glad that
Yeah.
other benefits with your relationship. That's it's so funny you say Jerry was intimidated by the gym because obviously now it's like that's like
No, yeah.
completely reversed. But
Yeah, I think
that's
he's actually
awesome.
more confident in the gym than me now, to be honest. Like, wow, he's like really like that. I would say the gym is his happy place. Like he loves going there. He's very strong, and like I'm very proud of him because he's found like this confidence in himself. And again, don't want to speak for him, but I definitely am proud of him, and it's been awesome. It's been a great thing. And I think we've both grown a lot, like physically obviously, but mentally as well, working together and individually through this program. So
That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. And what do you feel like was the biggest reservation you had to overcome in order to take the leap into joining the program?
The biggest reservation I think was initially the cost, because you think about it and you're like, oh, like upfront, I don't know if like I think you offer possibly to work with people if they need to break it up or something into like two payments or something. But just in general, just expect, putting that cost in your budget of like, okay, but then you think about like obviously like the cost of not doing it to your health, and then the cost of like how many times have you tried a million other things and like it didn't really work out. So like that's like the thing I had to think about that, because it's like, do you don't want to, we're still young, building our lives and family, and like you want to be smart about where you're going to put your investment. So initially, I was just reserved about that. But then once I spoke to you, like that went right out the window. As soon as I spoke to you and met you and genuinely felt like how like real you are in this program is, I was like, oh, okay. Like that's totally fine. Like I want to do this. I think it's well worth, any of that. So I think that's normal. I think anybody especially in, I don't know how everyone's faring in this economy, but I think anyone, nobody wants to think about having to spend money on something that they're not totally sure about. So I can understand that for anybody, but I do think that it is definitely well worth it. So I'm glad that I didn't let that stop me. Other than that, I would say my only other reservation would have been at that time, looking back, probably like I wasn't sure how it was going to work with, like I was like, well, what is he really doing? Like I know how to exercise. Like I do that on my own. Like I've lost weight before. I know how to exercise. And like I was like, what else? Like we're not going to see him. Like I was really like that. I so like I guess I did come into it a little skeptical in that way of being like, I don't know, like what is it? Like what is this though? Like what am I doing?
What is this though?
Yeah, like
Tweet
I
that,
was just
tweetable
kind
moment.
of, yeah, I was just kind of like, okay. And but like I said, as soon as I spoke to you, and once I watched the video, I spoke to you, I like got more information. I started understanding more about what exactly you were providing. And then immediately once we started the program, I was like, yeah, it was like it took, I mean, I was already excited about it. And then we started it and I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is great. This is gonna work. And it did.
I'm so happy to
So,
hear that.
yeah.
Actually, could you talk to maybe another possible reservation that you might have had, which was back then you weren't sure if I was working with women as well. So
Oh,
could you talk
yeah.
a
No,
bit
I
about that?
forgot. You're right.
Yep.
I did forget about that because it hasn't really been an issue. So I totally forgot about that. But yeah, in the beginning, you're right. because all I knew about your program was, at that time it was seemed very targeted to men, to dad bods, to, that was like all I really knew. And then like all of your clients seemed to be men, and it was kind of like Jerry was the one that was like initially interested, but then he was kind of like, well, what about you? And I was like, well, I mean, am I allowed to, like, is he working with women? Like, I didn't even know. So you're right, that was a reservation. And then I wasn't sure because genuinely, there are differences hormonally and things that can affect you. And so I wasn't sure. I was like, are you educated in a woman's body? Like, do you know how to work with women? And you made me feel really comfortable with that. And you had worked with other women before, which was good to hear. And um I haven't had any issues the whole time I've been working with you, really. So I would say that that concern went away really quickly to the point where I forgot I had that concern. But yeah, I mean, I still understand why anyone would have that concern, because I know you haven't had the opportunity yet to work with a ton of women, but that's not because you don't work with women or that you can't work with women, clearly. So I think it's just a matter of time, and then that concern wouldn't even be there for most people. But yeah, so I would say, you know, overall, I haven't experienced anything that would make me have that concern now. And like I said, it went away pretty quickly, but yeah, I did in the beginning, and I think that's normal, just to be like, well, could we work? I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's funny you said that. It kind of like went out of your head because literally
Yeah.
I have to remind you of it.
Yeah, because I was like, well, it hasn't
I'm
been
like,
an
wait a
issue.
minute,
So
maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this
no,
was
no, no. Once
yeah.
you said that, I was like, no, I really did. Because especially I still try to educate myself more as I'm getting older, like in my body. And, there are things that you should be aware of about women. So like, I just wasn't sure, like, how is this going to work out? But the programs that you design, it seems so like, they're just so focused on like human anatomy, and like focused on like what to be optimal for you as a human, and like it works really well, honestly. Like it works very, very well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, especially in your guys' case, like I tell you often, I'm very proud of the progress both of you have made and the lifestyle change you've both created here. And with that said, what would you maybe say to anybody that maybe on the fence, they're interested, they don't know if this might even be a good thing for, what would you say to anybody that might be on the fence of joining the Fit Body program?
I would say the main thing that you have to do is ask yourself, like, do you really want to change? Do you really, is there something that you really feel that this would help? Like, really, because to me, it is the lifestyle change. It is not a diet or like a short-term project. It's really like you are providing the resources to have a total mind shift and a lifestyle change. So that's what you are signing up for with this program. So I would just say, if you are really wanting to do that, this is amazing. This is a great program for you. If you're not quite there yet, then that's what you got to work on first, and then come back and really just do this program. Because I think that was the biggest thing for me, is like I was mentally at a place where I was like, I am doing this. I'm committed to this. I want this. I want to be healthy. I have a lot of family who are getting older, and I'm seeing um unfortunately what can happen when you don't take care of yourself. And so I just really, it was a strong motivation for me. I was really in a mental place where I was serious about it. It wasn't something that I just wanted to try to be, a bikini for the summer. It wasn't that. It was something a lot deeper. And I do think that would be my main advice to anybody is, I think this is an amazing opportunity, but you don't want to waste it. So make sure that you do take the time to really figure out why you're doing it and what is motivating you, and then just do it and follow exactly what you tell them to do because it works. That's it. Like you just gotta just do it, and then you'll be fine, and then you'll be like sitting here talking to you very happy.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so proud of the transformation you guys have had over this last year of us working together, and it's really cool just to see you're confident. You're literally like glowing. It's so cool to see.
Yeah,
And
right. No,
yeah,
but thank you.
of course, yeah. No, I'm excited to even fly out to you guys and do that longer interview together. I'm really
Yeah,
excited for that.
finally. I really am
Yes,
excited to meet you in person.
yes. Oh, after almost a year, right?
I know it's crazy, but I mean, that says a lot about your program. I haven't even got to meet you in person, and you've already had like such an impact on my life. So
Yeah,
thank you.
I feel like I know you already. I feel like it's always that surreal moment when I see somebody in person. I feel like I know them like my whole life, and then I'm really
Yeah,
meeting them for the first time in real life, if you will.
yeah,
It's cool. I'm excited to meet you and Jerry. And Em, I just want to say
definitely.
thank you. I want to thank you for taking the time to join me today and to share your story. And so I want to thank everybody for watching and for tuning in. I hope that you found this inspiring. And if you did, you can feel free to share it with somebody that you think might also find some motivation from hearing it as well. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Emily, again for sharing your story.
Yeah.
And we will catch you in our next video.
Bye.